Ambassador Tay walked into the massive chamber with his head held high. The room was bigger than any stadium on Earth. Thousands of aliens sat in curved rows that went up so high he could barely see the ceiling. Some looked like giant lizards, others were made of floating crystal. Some were just clouds of colored gas that somehow spoke. This was the Galactic Council, the place where every intelligent species in the galaxy gathered to make decisions, and today Earth wanted to join them. Commander Juan stood beside Tai. He was a military man, tall and strong, with sharp eyes that watched everything. He wore his Earth Defense Corps uniform with pride. Behind them stood Dr. Na, a scientist who studied alien languages. She looked nervous but excited. They had practiced this moment for months. Ever since alien ships had found Earth 3 years ago, humanity had been learning about the galaxy. They learned that thousands of species lived among the stars. They learned that most planets were peaceful and beautiful. They learned that Earth was considered young and primitive. But they also learned that the Council was fair. Any species could apply for membership. So here they were. Counselor Zethus stepped forward. He was a Vorath, one of the reptilian aliens. His scales changed colors when he moved, shifting from green to purple to gold. He was old, very old. He had been on the Council for 200 years. Humanity of Earth, Zethus said in a voice that sounded like rocks grinding together. You have submitted your petition for Council membership. We have reviewed your application. Your technology is adequate. Your society shows promise. We will now perform the final requirement, Tay nodded. They had been told about this. Every planet had to be registered in the Universal Registry. It was an ancient computer system that recorded every world in the galaxy. The system would scan Earth and give it an official name and designation. It is just a formality, Zethus had told them earlier. Every world has a registration. It will take only a moment. Zethus pressed his clawed hand against a glowing panel. Above them, a massive holographic display came to life. It showed Earth rotating slowly in space. Blue oceans, green continents, white clouds. It looked beautiful and peaceful. The Universal Registry began its scan. Lines of alien text scrolled across the display. Dr. Na watched them carefully. She had learned to read some of the common galactic languages, but these symbols were different. They looked ancient. The scanning took longer than expected. Tay glanced at Juan, who frowned. Something felt wrong. The chamber had gone quiet. Aliens who had been chatting with their neighbors now stared at the display. Then the alarms started. Loud, blaring sounds filled the chamber. Red lights flashed. The holographic display of Earth began to pulse with a deep crimson glow. The ancient symbols scrolled faster and faster across the screen. What is happening? Tay asked, but his voice was lost in the noise. Zethus stared at his control panel. His scales had turned completely white. Dr. Na had learned that meant fear. Extreme fear. Around the chamber, other aliens were backing away from the human delegation. Some were leaving their seats. Some were making sounds that might have been screaming. A Lumini elder, a being made of living crystal, suddenly shattered. Its body broke apart into 1,000 glowing pieces that fell to the floor like broken glass. Counselor, Juan shouted. What is going on? The Universal Registry finished its scan. The red light stopped flashing. The alarms went silent. In the sudden quiet, the display showed Earth again. But now beneath the planet, words appeared. They were written in every language at once. Somehow Tay could read them in English. Dr. Na could read them in Korean. Juan could read them in the military codes he had learned. The words said, Death World Prime, the First Garden, the Crucible, Cradle of the Ancient Ones. The chamber erupted in chaos. Aliens were shouting in hundreds of languages. Some were running for the exits. Others were calling for security. A group of gaseous drifters actually disappeared, teleporting away in fear. Tay looked at his companions. Does anyone know what that means? Juan shook his head. Nothing good. Dr. Na was pale. She pointed at the alien delegates. Look at them. They are terrified. Not confused. Not surprised, terrified. They know something we don't. Counselor Zethus slowly turned to face the humans. His scales were still white. His eyes, which had always looked calm and wise, now showed something humans recognized immediately. It was the look of someone who had just seen a monster. You, Zethus whispered. You are from there. From the Crucible. What is the Crucible? Tay demanded. Why is everyone acting like this? Zethus did not answer. He pressed another control and a force field appeared around the human delegation. It was not hostile, but it was clear. They were being contained. Emergency session, Zethus announced to the council. His voice was shaking. All members must attend. Code Ancient. I repeat, Code Ancient. More alarms went off. These were different, deeper. They sounded like warning bells from old Earth churches. Throughout the chamber, aliens stopped running. They turned back to their seats. Their fear was still visible, but now it was mixed with something else. Duty. Within minutes, the chamber was full again. But now additional aliens had arrived. These were older, stranger. Some looked like they had not left their homeworlds in centuries. They moved slowly, supported by younger members of their species. One of them, a lumini so old its crystal body had turned nearly black, floated down to the center of the chamber. It stopped in front of the force field that held the humans. I am Elder Rin, the crystal being said. Its voice sounded like wind chimes. I am 9,000 years old. I have seen the rise and fall of civilizations. I have witnessed the birth of stars and the death of worlds. Rin paused. The entire chamber waited. And I never thought I would see the day when someone from the crucible would stand before this council. Tay stepped forward. Elder Rin, we don't understand. Please explain what is happening. What is this crucible? Why does our planet's name cause such fear? Rin's crystal body pulsed with sad light. Because, young human, your world should not exist. Your species should not exist. According to every law of nature we understand, you should have died billions of years ago. But we didn't, Juan said firmly. No, Rin agreed. You didn't. And that is what terrifies us. Counselor Zethus stepped forward again. He had regained some of his composure. His scales were still pale, but he was no longer shaking. Humans of Earth, he said formally, your petition for council membership is suspended. But you will not be sent away. You have a right to know what you are, what your world is, and what your existence means for the entire galaxy. He gestured to the seats around them. The force field disappeared. Sit, Zethus said, and we will tell you the story that every species in this chamber was taught to forget. We will tell you about the progenitors, about the first garden, about the project that was meant to create the perfect weapon. Tai, Juan, and Na sat down slowly. Around them, thousands of alien eyes watched. We will tell you, Zethus continued, about the day the universe made a terrible mistake, the day it created Earth. The council chamber had never been so quiet. Thousands of aliens sat in absolute silence. All eyes were on Counselor Zethus as he prepared to speak. Captain Yule had arrived from orbit. She commanded Earth's first real starship, the Harmony. She stood with the other humans now, her hand resting on her uniform. She had fought in wars on Earth. She thought she had seen everything, but the fear in this room was unlike anything she had experienced. Zethus began to speak. His voice was steady now, but sad. Billions of years ago, the galaxy was very different. There was a species called the progenitors. They were the first intelligent beings. They were so powerful that they could shape planets with their thoughts. They could move stars. They could create life itself. Dr. Na was recording everything. Her hands trembled as she held her device. The progenitors ruled everything, Zethus continued. Every world, every star. They had no enemies because nothing could challenge them. They were perfect, immortal, all-powerful. Sounds good, Juan muttered. What went wrong? They could not change, Elder Rin answered. Her crystal body dimmed. They were perfect, and perfection cannot evolve. They were the same for millions of years, and they realized that eventually something would come from beyond our galaxy, something that could evolve, something that would be stronger than them because it could adapt. Lieutenant Bin, Earth's chief science officer, spoke up. So they needed to evolve. But they couldn't. Correct, Zethus said. So they decided to create something that could. They would make the perfect warrior species, something so adaptable, so strong, so impossible to kill, that it could defend against any threat. Tay felt a cold sensation in his stomach. He was beginning to understand. They chose one planet, Zethus said. The holographic display showed a young Earth, covered in red volcanic rocks and toxic gases. They called it the crucible, the testing ground. They made it the most hostile place in the universe. Research Director Saul, who studied alien biology, stood up. How hostile? They started with the basics, Rin explained. Extreme gravity, crushing atmospheric pressure, a sun that bathed the planet in deadly radiation. Volcanoes that never stopped erupting. Oceans of acid, that's not unusual, Sol said. Many planets start that way. Yes, Zethus agreed. But the progenitors didn't stop there. As life began to form on the crucible, they made sure it was the most aggressive, adaptable life possible. Every creature was designed to kill. Every plant was toxic. Every virus was deadly. The display showed Earth's history. The humans watched as their world transformed. The oceans turned blue, but they were filled with predators. The land turned green, but the plants had thorns and poisons. Animals appeared, but they had claws and fangs. They created extinction events, Zethus said quietly. Every few million years, they would kill almost everything on the planet. Meteor impacts, ice ages, volcanic eruptions that blocked out the sun. Only the strongest, most adaptable life would survive. Captain Yule clenched her fists. They murdered billions of creatures. For an experiment? Yes, Rin said simply. They did. For 2 billion years, life on the crucible was born, thrived, and died. The progenitors watched, waited. Most species failed the test. They were too specialized. When the world changed, they could not adapt fast enough. The display showed the dinosaurs, massive creatures that ruled Earth for millions of years. Then a meteor struck. Fire covered the planet. The dinosaurs died. But something always survived, Zethus said. Small creatures, smart creatures, creatures that could eat anything, live anywhere, adapt to anything. Mammals, Ben whispered. Yes, Rin confirmed. And from those mammals came something unexpected. A species that was weak in body but strong in mind. A species that used tools, that used fire, that worked together. The display showed early humans. They looked small and fragile compared to the other animals around them. You should have died, Zethus said. You had no claws. No fangs, no armor, no venom. You were slower than the predators, weaker than the prey. By every measurement, you were doomed. But we survived, Tay said. You did more than survive, Rin said. You conquered. You took the deadliest planet in the universe and made it your home. You tamed fire. You domesticated animals that could kill you. You turned poisonous plants into medicine. You built shelters against the storms. You created tools to make up for your weak bodies. The display showed human history. Tribes became villages. Villages became cities. Cities became civilizations. The progenitors were impressed, Zethus said. You were exactly what they wanted. A species forged by the crucible. Adaptable, resilient, intelligent, aggressive when needed, cooperative when necessary. They were going to use you, Rin added. They planned to take your genetic material and create armies. Soldiers who could survive anywhere, fight anyone, adapt to any threat. Juan stood up. But they didn't. Why not? Zethus's scales flickered with an emotion the humans couldn't read. Because the progenitors vanished, overnight. Billions of years of civilization gone. No explanation. No warning. They left behind only their technology and their records. And warnings, Rin said darkly. In every database they left, there were warnings about the crucible. Do not disturb the first garden. Do not awaken what sleeps there. Do not let them know what they are. Sol felt her blood run cold. They were afraid of us. Not of you specifically, Zethus explained, but of what you represent. The progenitors created you to be weapons, perfect weapons, but they never tested you. Never used you. What if they discovered something about you that scared even them? What if that's why they disappeared? That's crazy, Yule said. We're just humans. We're not monsters, aren't you? A new voice asked. A small alien floated down from the upper seats. It looked like a jellyfish made of light. It spoke through a translator that made its voice sound hollow. I am Counselor Rowe of the Drifters. Let me tell you what we found when we studied your world from a distance. Your planet has gravity that would crush most of us. Your atmospheric pressure would kill us. Your oceans are filled with salt that would burn our bodies. 80% of your world is covered in a substance that most species cannot even touch. Water is dangerous? Na asked, confused. It is a universal solvent, Rowe explained. It dissolves almost anything. Most species in this council are silicon-based or crystalline. Water would destroy us in seconds, but you swim in it. You drink it. Your bodies are made mostly of it. The humans looked at each other. They had never thought of water as dangerous. Your world has storms that can level cities, Rowe continued. Earthquakes that split the ground. Volcanoes that bury entire regions. Floods that drown millions. And you built your civilizations anyway. You stayed. Where else would we go? Tay asked. Any sane species would have gone extinct, Rowe said. or left the planet. But you stayed. You adapted. You made the crucible your home. That's what terrifies us. Zethus stepped forward again. After the progenitors vanished, the Council's ancestors found their records. They found information about the Crucible project. They were horrified. So they made a decision. They hid your planet. They removed it from all star charts. They put sensor-blocking fields around your solar system. They agreed that humanity should be left alone, forever. You were supposed to evolve naturally, Rin said, without ever knowing about the galaxy. Without ever leaving your world. The Crucible would be your prison, safe for you, safe for us. Captain Yule stepped forward, her voice hard. But we broke out. We built warp drives. We found the galaxy on our own. Yes, Zethus said, and now we must decide what to do. You cannot be sent back. You know about us now, but you also cannot be allowed to roam free without understanding what you are. Ambassador Tay looked around the chamber, at thousands of aliens who feared his species. He felt anger rising in his chest. We are not weapons, he said firmly. We are people. We have art, music, philosophy, love. Yes, we came from a hard world. Yes, we are survivors, but that doesn't make us monsters. Then what does it make you? Rin asked gently. Tay thought for a long moment. It makes us human. Nothing more. Nothing less. The council chamber remained silent. No one had an answer to that. The emergency session continued for hours. Counselor Zethus called for a break and the humans were given a private room. It was smaller than the main chamber but still huge by Earth standards. The walls were made of some kind of soft, glowing material. Commander Juan paced back and forth. This is insane. They're treating us like we're dangerous animals. Maybe we are, Dr. Na said quietly. She was looking at data on her tablet. I've been comparing our biology to the council species. The differences are significant. Captain Yule sat down heavily. Explain. Na pulled up charts and images. Most council species evolved on what they call garden worlds. Peaceful planets where life was easy. Their gravity is lower. Their atmospheres are gentler. Their predators are less aggressive. So we're tougher, Juan said. That doesn't make us monsters. It's not just toughness, Lieutenant Bin said. He had been working with Na on the research. It's everything. Our bones are denser. Our muscles are stronger. Our skin is thicker. We heal from injuries that would be fatal to most species here. Research Director Saul joined them. She had been talking to some of the friendlier council scientists. They've been studying us. Our medical scans. Our biology. They're terrified of what they found. What did they find? Ambassador Tay asked. Saul took a deep breath. Our immune system alone is classified as a weapon by their standards. We fight off millions of hostile organisms every day. Bacteria, viruses, parasites. Our bodies are constantly at war with microscopic invaders. And we win. That's normal, Yule said. Not for them, Sol replied. Most council species live in clean environments. They rarely get sick. Their immune systems are weak compared to ours. If they visited Earth without protection, they would die within hours from infections that wouldn't even make us sneeze. Na pulled up another chart. Then there's our pain tolerance. We have something called adrenaline. When we're in danger, our bodies release chemicals that make us stronger, faster, and able to ignore pain. We can push our bodies beyond their normal limits. Every species can do that, Juan argued. No, Bin said. They can't. The council scientists showed me data. Most species have fear responses that shut them down when they're hurt. They can't fight through pain like we can. They can't force their bodies to keep going when they're injured. Tay felt a strange sensation, like he was seeing humanity from the outside for the first time. What else? Temperature tolerance, Sol said. We can survive in temperatures ranging from well below freezing to extreme heat. Most council species have a range of maybe 20 degrees. We have a range of over 100, our diet, Na added. We're omnivores. We can eat plants and meat. We can digest things that are toxic to other species. Coffee, chocolate, chili peppers, all of these contain compounds that are classified as poisons by galactic standards. But we consume them for pleasure. Yule laughed, but it was a bitter sound. We eat poison for fun. Great. It gets worse, Bin said. He pulled up an image of a human skeleton next to alien skeletons. Our bone structure is designed for combat. Our hands can form fists. Our teeth can tear meat. Our eyes face forward like predators, giving us depth perception for hunting. Most herbivores have eyes on the sides of their heads, Sol explained. It gives them a wider field of view to watch for predators. But predators have forward-facing eyes. Like us. We're predators, Juan said slowly. They see us as predators. Not just that, Na said. She pulled up historical data from Earth. They studied our history, our wars, our conflicts. Commander, how many wars has humanity fought? Juan thought about it. Thousands. Tens of thousands if you count tribal conflicts. Most council species have fought less than 10 wars in their entire history, Bin said. Some have never had a war at all. They resolve conflicts through negotiation. The idea of organized, sustained violence is alien to them. Tay felt sick, so they think we're violent monsters who are naturally inclined to warfare. That's not entirely wrong, Sewell said gently. Humans are good at warfare. We've turned it into a science. We have military academies, war games, combat training. We study historical battles like they're art. Because we had to, Yule said angrily. We fought each other because we didn't know there were alternatives. But we've been at peace globally for decades now. We've moved past that, have we? Na asked. She pulled up more data. Commander Juan, how many combat-trained personnel does Earth have? About 50 million active military, Juan said. Another 100 million reserves. The entire council has less than 10 million military personnel combined, Bin said. And most of them are ceremonial guards. They don't train for real combat. The room went quiet. The humans sat with this information, trying to process what it meant. Finally, Elder Rin entered the room, the ancient crystal being floated gently through the door. I hope I am not disturbing you. Elder Rin, Tay said. Please come in. Rin settled near them. Her crystalline body pulsed with soft light. I wanted to speak with you privately, away from the fear and politics of the council chamber. Are you afraid of us too? Yule asked. Yes, Rin said honestly. But I am also fascinated. You see, I have lived for 9,000 years. I have seen many species rise and fall, but I have never seen anything like humanity. What do you mean? Da asked. Most species, when they face hardship, they either adapt or die, Rin explained. But they adapt by changing who they are. They evolve physically. Humans are different. You adapt by changing your environment. You don't like the cold? You make fire. You can't catch prey? You make weapons. The planet tries to kill you? You build shelters and cities. That's just intelligence, Bin said. No, Rin corrected. It's more than that. It's determination. It's stubbornness. Most species, when faced with a problem they cannot solve, they accept it and move on. Humans don't. You refuse to accept defeat. You have a concept that most species lack. What concept? Tay asked. Hope, Rin said softly. The belief that things can get better. That you can survive impossible odds. That tomorrow might be better than today, even when all evidence says otherwise. Saul laughed quietly. That's what terrifies you? Hope? Yes, Rin said. Because hope makes you dangerous. A species that never gives up is a species that cannot be defeated. The progenitors understood this. That's why they created the crucible. They wanted to forge something that would never surrender. But we're not their weapon, Juan said firmly. We chose our own path, did you? Rin asked. Or did the crucible shape you into exactly what the progenitors wanted? Strong, adaptable, aggressive when threatened, capable of incredible violence when necessary. We're also capable of incredible kindness, Na said. We have compassion. We help each other. We create art and music and beauty. Yes, Rin agreed. That's what confuses us. You are weapons that don't want to be weapons. You are predators that choose to protect instead of hunt. You are survivors who use your strength to help others survive. Yule stood up and walked to the window. Outside she could see alien ships moving through space. What happens now? Does the council quarantine us? Lock us back on Earth? Some want that, Rin admitted. They believe you should be contained. That the risk of letting you into the galaxy is too great. And the others? Tay asked. Others see opportunity, Rin said. There are threats at the edge of the galaxy. Things we don't talk about publicly. Dangers that the council cannot face because we have no warriors. We have no species that understands combat the way you do. You want to use us, Juan said. Just like the progenitors planned. No, Rin said firmly. We want to give you a choice. To decide for yourselves what you want to be. Warriors or peacekeepers, isolationists or members of the galactic community. What do you want, Elder? Saul asked. Rin's light pulsed thoughtfully. I want to see what happens when the Crucible's children choose their own destiny. The progenitors made you to be weapons, but they never asked if you wanted to be weapons. Now you have that choice. A bell chimed, signaling that the break was over. The council was reconvening. Tay stood up and straightened his uniform. Then let's go make that choice. The humans walked back to the council chamber together. They were scared. They were confused. But they were not defeated. They were, after all, from the crucible, and the crucible had taught them to never give up. The council chamber felt different when the humans returned. The panic had faded, replaced by tense discussion. Groups of aliens gathered in clusters, debating in low voices. Some pointed at the humans. Others deliberately looked away. Ambassador Tay walked to the center platform where he had stood hours before. This time he felt different. He understood what they saw when they looked at him. Not just a diplomat from a young species, but a product of the crucible. A weapon forged over billions of years. But he also knew he was more than that. Counselor Zethus called the chamber to order. The emergency session will now conclude. We must vote on humanity's petition. But first, Ambassador Tay, you may speak. Tay took a deep breath. Behind him stood Commander Juan, Captain Yule, Dr. Na, Lieutenant Bin, and Research Director Saul, his team. His friends, his fellow humans, members of the Galactic Council, Tay began. Today we learned the truth about Earth, about what we are, about what we were designed to be. He paused, looking around the chamber. You're right to be afraid. Our world is harsh. Our bodies are strong. Our history is violent. We are, in many ways, everything the progenitors wanted to create. We are survivors. We are fighters. We are weapons. Murmurs spread through the chamber. Some aliens nodded. Others looked more worried. But, Tay continued, his voice growing stronger, we are also artists, scientists, philosophers, parents, friends. We chose to reach for the stars not to conquer but to explore. We sought out the council not to threaten but to join. Yes, the crucible made our bodies, but we made our souls. Elder Rin's crystal body glowed brighter. Several other aliens leaned forward to listen. The progenitors designed a weapon, Tay said, but they never got to use it. They disappeared before they could tell us what we were supposed to be. So we decided for ourselves. We chose cooperation over conquest. We chose peace over war. We chose to be more than what we were designed to be. Commander Juan stepped forward. We're not asking you to trust us blindly. We know what we're capable of, but we're offering you something the galaxy has never had before. A species that understands conflict but chooses peace. Warriors who would rather protect than attack. We can't promise we'll never make mistakes, Captain Yule added. We're young. We're learning. But we can promise we'll try. We'll try to be worthy of your trust, Dr. Na spoke next. In our history, we have a saying. The measure of intelligence is the ability to change. We changed ourselves. We evolved beyond our violent past. We can continue to change, to grow, to become better. Research Director Sol finished the thought. The crucible made us hard, but we made ourselves kind. That's the choice we're asking you to honor. Tay looked directly at Counselor Zethus. We're not asking for full membership. Not yet, we understand your concerns, but give us a chance. A probationary period. Let us prove we can be part of this community. Let us show you what the Crucible's children chose to become. The chamber was silent. Then Zethus spoke. A wise proposal. We will vote. Humanity's petition is modified. The question is now, shall we grant humanity provisional membership with a review in 5 years? The vote took 30 minutes. It was close. Many species voted no, too afraid of what humanity represented. But others voted yes, species that had read the reports about the threats at the galaxy's edge, species that understood the value of having strong allies. The final tally appeared on the displays. It had passed by only 7 votes. Humanity of Earth, Zethus announced. You are granted provisional membership in the Galactic Council. You will have limited voting rights. Your military will be monitored. Your expansion will be restricted, but you are now part of our community. Tay felt relief wash over him. Behind him, his team smiled. It wasn't perfect, but it was a start. There is one condition, Elder Rin added. Earth will become part of the Council's defensive network. You will station military advisors with our fleets. You will help train our security forces. In exchange, you will have access to Council technology and knowledge. We accept, Tay said immediately. Juan nodded in agreement. The ceremony was brief. Humanity was welcomed with caution, not celebration. But they were welcomed. That was enough. For 6 months, things went well. Human military advisors worked with Council fleets. Commander Juan and his officers taught basic tactics. Captain Yule helped design better ship defenses. The Council species were surprised at how patient the humans were, how willing to share their knowledge. Lieutenant Bin set up training programs. Officers Quan, Wu, and Hyun worked with alien cadets, teaching them things like strategic planning and crisis management, concepts that were new to species that had never needed them. Dr. Na and Research Director Sol worked on cultural exchange programs. They helped humans understand alien customs and helped aliens understand human behavior. Slowly, the fear began to fade. Some species even started to see the value in humanity's different perspective. Then the alarms went off. Not in the Council chamber. These alarms came from the edge of the galaxy, from the outer colonies, from places so remote that the Council barely monitored them. Councillor Zethus called an emergency meeting. This time the humans were included from the start. 3 colonies have gone silent, Zethus said. His scales were dark with worry. The Vorith mining station. The Lumini research outpost. The drifter settlement on the Rim world. Equipment failure? Juan suggested. No, a military coordinator said. She was a tall, thin alien named Mira. We sent scout ships. They found nothing. No colonies. No buildings, no people. Just empty planets stripped of all biological material. The chamber erupted in shocked voices. Tay looked at Yule. She looked grim. How long ago? Yule asked. The first colony disappeared 2 weeks ago, Mira said. The others vanished in the past 5 days. Whatever is doing this is moving fast. Show us the data, Juan said. The displays lit up with images from the scout ships. The planets looked wrong. The soil was gray and lifeless. The water was empty. Even the plants were gone. It was like something had erased all life from the worlds. What could do this? Elder Rin asked, her voice shaking. Lieutenant Bin studied the images carefully. It's not natural. This is too complete, too precise. Something is harvesting these worlds. We need to send a fleet, Zethus said, to investigate and defend. I'll go, Captain Yule volunteered immediately. So will we, Mira said. Several other Council military officers nodded. The fleet assembled quickly. 20 Council ships, including Yule's Harmony. They were armed with the best weapons the Council had. Energy shields, plasma cannons, defensive drones. Juan stayed on the Council station as the military coordinator. He watched the fleet depart, a bad feeling in his gut. They're not ready, he said quietly to Tay. Ready for what? Tay asked. For war, Juan replied. The fleet reached the edge of explored space 3 days later. They found the 4th missing colony. And they found what had taken it. The transmission came back broken and filled with static. Captain Yule's voice cut in and out. Unknown hostile, massive. They're everywhere. Shield's not working. Need backup? Oh God, they're eating the ship. Then silence. Juan's blood ran cold. Get them back, now. But it was too late. The fleet was engaged. And they were losing. On the displays, Juan watched in horror as Council ships were torn apart. The attackers were unlike anything in the database. Silicon-based creatures the size of buildings. They moved through space without ships, their bodies somehow surviving the vacuum. They attached to Council vessels and dissolved them, consuming the metal and the crew inside. They're called devourers, a terrified voice said over the comm. They came from beyond the galaxy. They eat everything. They can't be stopped. 10 ships were destroyed in the first hour. The remaining ships retreated, but the devourers followed. Councillor Zethus turned to the humans. His scales were pure white again. We need help. All our weapons are useless. Our tactics don't work. They're coming for the inner colonies now. If they're not stopped, they'll consume the entire galaxy. Commander Juan looked at his fellow humans, at Ambassador Tay, at Dr. Na, at Lieutenant Bin, at Research Director Sol. This was it, the moment that would define humanity's place in the galaxy. Call back all Earthships, Juan said quietly. Activate the Defense Corps. Get me every combat-trained human in the fleet. What are you planning? Zethus asked. Juan's expression was hard. You wanted to know what the crucible created? You're about to find out. We're going to war. Earth responded within hours. Every military ship in the human fleet turned toward the Council core worlds. Commander Juan took control of the defensive operations with an efficiency that shocked the Council members. This is how we organize, Juan explained to the confused alien officers. Chain of command. Clear hierarchy. Everyone knows their role. Captain Yule limped back to the council station on her damaged ship. Half her crew was dead. Her ship was barely holding together. But she was alive and she brought vital information. They're not invincible, she told Juan. They're tough, but they have patterns. They're like insects. They swarm. They overwhelm with numbers, but they don't adapt quickly. Good, Juan said. That's something we can work with. Dr. Na and Lieutenant Bin worked around the clock studying the devourer samples that Yule had managed to bring back. The creatures were silicon-based, which meant they were very different from Earth life. But they still had weaknesses. Their neural system works on electromagnetic impulses, Bin explained to the council scientists. If we can disrupt those impulses, we can confuse them. Maybe even stop them. We've tried electromagnetic weapons, a Vorath scientist argued. They didn't work. Because you used the wrong frequency, Research Director Sol said. She had been comparing Earth's electromagnetic environment to the council worlds. Your planets are calm, stable. Earth has intense magnetic fields, radiation, solar storms. We're used to electromagnetic chaos. Can you weaponize it? Elder Rin asked. Yes, Sol said confidently. But we need time. You have 5 days, Counselor Zethus said. That's when the devourers will reach the inner colonies. The humans worked without sleep. Ambassador Tay coordinated with the council to evacuate civilian populations. Officers Quan Wu and Hyun trained council forces in combat tactics that felt alien and brutal to species that had never fought real wars. You don't negotiate with them, Quan explained to a group of Lumini officers. You don't try to understand them. You identify the threat and you eliminate it. That's so violent, one officer said, his crystal body flickering with distress. Yes, Hyun said simply. War is violent. That's why you avoid it when possible. But when you can't avoid it, you don't hesitate. Hesitation gets people killed. The council forces struggled with the concept. They were used to conflict resolution, diplomatic solutions. The idea of fighting to kill was emotionally devastating to them, but they learned. They had to. Captain Yule took command of the combined fleet. Under her leadership were 50 council ships and 20 human vessels. It wasn't enough to match the devourers in numbers, but Yule wasn't planning to fight fair. We need to slow them down, she explained in the strategy meeting. Hit and run. Lead them into traps. Make them chase us. Buy time for Sol's weapon. The first engagement happened near a gas giant. Yule's fleet ambushed a devourer swarm, using the planet's gravity to slingshot missiles at high speed. The council ships were amazed at the tactic. They had never thought to use gravity as a weapon. The attack damaged dozens of devourers, but there were thousands more. The fleet retreated, leading the swarm deeper into council space toward prepared defensive positions. Lieutenant Bin worked on a second weapon. He had noticed that the devourers consumed metal and biological matter, but avoided certain materials. They're picky eaters, he told Dr. Na. They want energy-rich materials. If we can make our ships less appetizing, they might ignore them. The solution was simple but strange. They coated council ships with compounds that were toxic to the devourers, things that Earth life could tolerate, but silicon-based life could not. Sulfur compounds, phosphorus, carbon dioxide in high concentrations. You're turning our ships into poison, Counselor Zethus said. Exactly, Bin replied. The devourers are used to eating clean, pure materials. Earth is dirty. Our chemistry is messy and toxic. We're using that against them. It worked. Coated ships were attacked less frequently. The devourers still fought them, but they prioritized uncoated vessels. It gave the council fleet an edge. Meanwhile, Research Director Sol completed the electromagnetic pulse weapon. It was massive, requiring 3 council stations to generate enough power. But the calculations showed it would work. We need to lure them into range, Sol explained. The weapon has limited reach. We need them concentrated in one area. I can do that, Captain Yule said. The plan was dangerous. Suicidal, some said. Yule would take a small fleet deep into enemy territory, make noise, attract attention, and lead the entire devourer swarm to the weapon's kill zone. You won't make it back, Juan said quietly to Yule before she left. Maybe not, Yule replied. But if I don't do this, no one survives. That's an easy choice. Very human of you, Juan said with a sad smile. Yule's fleet jumped into devourer space. They attacked every swarm they found. They destroyed resource collectors. They made themselves impossible to ignore. And the devourers responded exactly as predicted. Thousands of them changed course, chasing Yule's ships. The retreat was a nightmare. Ships were destroyed one by one as the devourers caught up. Yule pushed her engines beyond safe limits. Her crew was exhausted, but they kept going. Target zone in sight, Yule reported. Devourers are right behind us. Activate the weapon on my mark. The fleet burst into the kill zone. Behind them, a massive wave of devourers followed. The electromagnetic pulse weapon charged, drawing power from 3 council stations simultaneously. Mark, Yule screamed. The weapon fired. Space itself seemed to scream. An electromagnetic pulse of such intensity that it disrupted reality itself spread out from the weapon. The devourers, their entire neural system based on electromagnetic impulses, simply stopped. Thousands of them hung motionless in space. Secondary weapons fire, Juan ordered from the command station. Every ship in the council fleet opened fire. Missiles, lasers, kinetic weapons. The frozen devourers were destroyed by the thousands. It was a slaughter. But Yule's ship had taken too much damage. Her engines failed. Her life support was failing. "Yule, report," Juan called. There was silence. Then faintly Yule's voice came through. "Got them. Mission accomplished. Tell Earth. I did my duty. Yule." Juan shouted, "Yule!" But the transmission ended. Captain Yule's ship, the Harmony, drifted silent in space. The battle continued for 3 more weeks. The devourers kept coming, but now the Council fleet knew how to fight them. Human tactics combined with Council technology, electromagnetic pulses combined with poison coatings, strategy combined with courage. Slowly the tide turned. The devourers were pushed back. Their numbers decreased. Finally, the survivors retreated back beyond the galaxy's edge. The war was over. The Council chamber held a ceremony. It was somber. Thousands had died. Dozens of worlds were damaged. But the galaxy had survived. Counselor Zethus stood before the assembled species. "We won because of humanity, because they taught us how to fight, how to survive, how to never give up." Elder Rin floated forward. "We were wrong to fear you. Yes, you are weapons, but you are weapons that choose to protect. You are warriors who fight for others." She turned to Ambassador Tay. "Earth's designation in the Universal Registry has been changed. You are no longer called the Crucible or the Death World." The display activated, showing Earth. Beautiful. Blue and green. Home. "Your new designation is Sanctuary," Rin announced. "The world that learned to survive so others don't have to. The species that walks through hell so the rest of us can stay safe." Tay felt tears on his face. Behind him, the surviving humans stood at attention. Dr. Na, Lieutenant Bin, Research Director Sol, Officers Quan Wu and Hyun. Commander Juan, Captain Yule's chair was empty, but her sacrifice had saved billions. "Humanity is granted full council membership," Zethus said, "with all rights and responsibilities. You are no longer probationary. You are our equals, our protectors, our friends." The chamber erupted in applause. Not the polite applause of diplomacy, but genuine gratitude. Lieutenant Day watched from Earth, looking up at the stars. The galaxy was safe. Humanity had proven itself. Not as weapons, not as monsters, but as people who chose to be better than what they were designed to be. The Crucible had forged them hard, but they had forged themselves kind. Commander Juan stood at the window of the council station, looking at Earth in the distance. "We're not perfect," he said to Tay. "We'll make mistakes. We'll struggle, but we'll keep trying. That's all anyone can ask," Tay replied. Elder Rin joined them. "What will humanity do now?" Tay smiled. "What we've always done. Survive, adapt, protect, and hope. Always hope." Below them, Earth rotated peacefully. The garden of death that had created the galaxy's protectors. The crucible that had forged a species of warriors who chose peace. The sanctuary that would stand guard so others could live in safety. The universe had fallen silent when it learned what humanity was. Now it was silent with respect and hope.